So these are the materials that I've created or gathered for my 100-day project. And this year, which is my second year actually, I've decided to focus on collage. And as you can see on the right-hand side, there are some blank pieces of paper, and that's actually cartridge paper, and they're A6 pieces. And I'm going to be creating one of those each day. So what I've got on the table are swatches and stencil letters and handwriting and mark making and some jelly plate handmade papers and some magazine cuttings. And I think that's it. Oh, and yes, some magazine cuttings which have got pattern on them and magazine cuttings which are text. So those are my materials that I'm going to be using or am using already. Hello, so today I'm going to be focusing on my 100-day project and talking about collage. But before I do that, please do subscribe if you aren't already. You just hit the subscribe button and have notifications on, then you won't miss any of my videos. And also, I've said this before, but just for people if you might have forgotten, just do comment on the videos if you have, and feel free to ask me questions about either the topic or other things. And I will endeavour to cover those questions in future videos. So just so that, fire questions at me if you think I might be able to answer them. And even if you don't, and I will address what I can. So on to today's subject. In a minute, I'm going to share with you the small A6 collages I've done so far, and I'm also going to do a bit of a demo. But before I do that, I thought I'd start with sharing my top tips for doing any type of a project really of this sort of nature. And then further along the line, I'll probably do some a session where I share my tips for the collage specific ideas and thoughts, but in this case are just general. So my first top tip, if you're embarking on any sort of a project of this nature, it doesn't have to be the 100-day. My first top tip will be to gather your materials, bring them together. You saw at the beginning me sharing the stash of collage papers that I'd pulled together specifically for this project, and actually the folder on my desk has them all clipped neatly and they're all ready to use. So gathering the materials is a really useful start point, and it helps you to kind of think about the project and get immersed in it and recognise what you'll need, and it saves you having to fumble around whenever you want to dip into your project. You've got the stash there, and you can of course add to them as you go. So that's the first tip. So number two, my second tip is to actually have a framework for what you're doing. And by that, it sounds a bit sort of posh or technical, but what I really mean is just have an idea of how you're going to address this project. So and what it's about. So in my case, mine is A6 pieces of cards, so I know that I've got to just have those blank pieces of card ready. They're all A6. I'm going to spend 20 to 30 minutes a day. I can of course spend more or less, it varies, but at least that gives me a bit of a guide. And also I've got a list of ideas and thoughts that I might want to dip into to enable me to kind of keep going. So I've got a list of words that I might use to kind of theme different groups of the paper, of the collages that I'm creating. So that's number two. Number three, plan for being derailed. That sounds very strange, but what I mean by that is that with all the will in the world, whether or not you've got things planned, in my case I'm going off in the camper van to do work on location and so on, but it might be things that are either planned or not planned that just come up, that get in the road. How will you manage to keep on when that happens? So in my case, I've decided this year, when I come back from these things, if I haven't managed to keep on track, I'm going to spend a few hours just getting back on track and catching up, if you like. Last year I chose not to do that and just to go on for longer and to just know that I wasn't always going to be able to do it every day. And just have an idea in your mind, because it'll help you when things happen. Number four, related to that, is just keep going. Don't feel that, this is a waste of time. I'll try not to get too kind of overloaded with it. just even if things don't go as you had in your mind planned or thought about, just keep going. Small steps, and you'd be amazed at what you achieve by doing that. And then number 5, my final top tip is really just celebrate when you do these things. You know, celebrate your successes, celebrate that you're halfway through, quarter of the way through, or things are happening. You know, just, you know, whether it's going out for a coffee or giving yourself a pat on the back, just remember to celebrate and recognize that you're achieving an awful lot by doing these types of projects in this way. And it really does benefit your practice. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to share some of the A6 collages I've already done. So here are the 2 groups of 10 of my collages that I've already done over a 3-week period. So on the left hand side is the first group, and on the right hand side the second group. And as you can see, within each group, they're not all related. Some, you know, arguably are more related than others, like the top 3 on the left hand side are, you know, clearly of the same ilk, and similarly there are some on the right hand side. What I would say though is that I'm just starting with these. Obviously there's the first 20, and I think a lot of them are very busy, and I think some of them could do with more breathable or neutral space. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect some more neutral sort of light coloured papers to complement some of the busier papers, so that moving forward I can sort of address that a little bit really. And obviously composition is key with these things, and as I move forward, hopefully my eye and my ability to put things together will improve, and that's kind of the point of it. But hopefully you can see that some of these are some more successful than others. And the last one on the bottom right, I'm rather liking that one because that's got more breathable space. But anyway, I just thought I'd lay these out as a start point for you to see. So on my board here I have my piece of A6 paper, and what's around it might look a bit of a muddle, but it is kind of laid out in a kind of semi-organised way. So I don't know where this one is going to go now, but I'm going to have a bit of a think. I think I'm going to sort of use the idea, I'm looking around and see some really nice blues. I think I'm going to use blue as my sort of different blues. And that immediately makes me think, if I use blues, am I going to introduce some orange as well as a sort of complement to that? So I'm going to, it might loosely be coastal sea, I don't know. Probably doesn't matter. Look at that. So I was just looking at that on that side, but I really like that. And I want to kind of keep with this idea that I had from the last one I did previously on number 20. I had this idea that I wanted to kind of take some of the lessons from that last one, which was around simplicity and around, well, I don't like that actually on its own, and having more breathable space rather than masses of busyness. So, and what I'm really liking already when I'm looking at this is that, hopefully you can see that, yes you can, I am really liking, I just tore this actually recently today, I'm really liking these sorts of torn edges against the very sort of straight line there. And I like this idea of the torn versus the straight lines. And the reason I've placed it like that is because it pushes it so that you've got a narrower bit there. And depending on what I do here, this is kind of wider. But that kind of depends what I do there. So if I was going to make that wide against narrow, maybe I want to introduce something with it that takes the blue over. Don't like that really. What's that, this? Oh, I quite like that. Quite like the combination. So I quite like, I like the lines as well because it reinforces the straightness against the tornness. So that's kind of interesting. I quite like that, and it's made that read as a wide bit against a narrow bit, which I really like. So that's all good. So now I'm thinking, do I want something orange? Ooh. Oh, look at that. Do I want something orange? And that's got some torn edges. Oh, I quite like that. Do I want something that's contrasting? So you've got the straight there that kind of connects with that. I don't know. Do I want that all torn or all? No, I think it's okay like that. How I stick that is another matter. I kind of like it so that it's in line because I quite like this sort of big band. But if I did that, how would I make this work and keep the simplicity going? I mean, there's a bit of me in these that I really like this breathable space, but I'm not, for this one, I'm probably not going to keep it as such. I'm wanting, I can see here out the corner of my eye, there's some, these stencils have got some orange. Let's see what I've got. Could I quite like the idea of having the blue and the orange, not the black, not the black. So I'm looking to make these letters work, and then I'm looking to have some sort of space but filled with fairly light material in between, as you can see those dots. And then I'm just trying to connect everything together, and these stripes are doing that for me. So here is my finished piece. The only thing I've done differently is I've turned it the other way round now because I prefer it this way round. And also in the end, when I stuck this one on, this always happens when you stick things down, you sort of make adjustments. I decided that I didn't want this piece here with the orange band sitting right in the middle as I had it. I wanted to create these two areas quite different from each other, so I moved it down and I moved it over so it was hanging into the white space. In the end, I preferred that. And also, and if you can notice that these blue stripes I've done so that they're overlapping, sitting over the blue just a tiny amount, whereas those blue clearly go under, so it's this over and under, which I quite liked. And it's, you know, those are the sort of things that you notice as the person doing it, but, you know, it probably gets lost in translation. So anyway, I hope that's helpful as a way of showing you how I do these, and some are more successful than others. But I will probably be putting these on my website eventually, and I will probably be, I don't know at what point in time, but I will probably be putting some of these up for sale. And I will offer it to my newsletter subscribers first. So if you're not already subscribed, I will put the link to subscribe into the notes for this video. So thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe. And as ever, I would love your comments. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.